This is Gabriel Wrench with the Cross Politic Daily News Brief for Thursday, January 3rd, 2020. Since it's the new year, I'd like to take a minute and explain why we started the Daily News Brief. For at least the span of my lifetime, pastors have largely been silent on speaking the gospel into politics. This has left congregations undiscipled and created disconnected thinking in relationships to politics and the scriptures. So Christians have turned to radio personalities like Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck, who have by default become our political pastors, to help make some sort of sense out of what is going on in politics Monday through Saturday. So we have effectively raised at least my generation, probably way more, to have a conservative views with no scriptural grounding. This has had disastrous effects. So we hope these daily news briefs, along with our midweek fix and Sunday special, encourage and equip and really inspire you to take every thought captive to Christ. All of Christ for all of life, for all the world. We thank you for your feedback, for sharing our show, and especially for joining our club as we take on 2020. Now on to the news. More than 200 lawmakers urged Supreme Court to reconsider Roe v. Wade. According to The Hill, more than 200 members of Congress want the Supreme Court to reconsider the landmark abortion case Roe v. Wade. Led by Minority Whip Steve Scalise, he's the Republican out of Louisiana, about 166 House representatives and 39 Senate Republicans signed an amicus brief calling the right to an abortion unworkable. Two Democrats, Rep. Colin Peterson out of Minnesota and Rep. Daniel Lipinski out of Illinois, also signed on to the brief. Lipinski is coming under fire for his anti-abortion stance and being targeted in his upcoming primary by a progressive Democrat. The lawmakers noted the unworkability of the right to abortion found in Roe v. Wade and suggest the court take up the issue of whether the case should be reconsidered and, if appropriate, overruled. The lawmakers are writing in support of Louisiana law that would require doctors who perform abortions to have admitting privileges at a nearby hospital, a requirement that critics say is designed to force abortion clinics to close. The Supreme Court is set to hear an oral argument challenging the law in March. If upheld, the restrictions could leave the state with just one abortion provider. Think about this. We're living in interesting times. The battle over abortion has intensified under the Trump administration. Conservatives have been running end abortion plays in states and at the county levels, heartbeat bills, plays like what is being run in Louisiana, and now this kind of Supreme Court push by Congress. Of course we want the end of abortion, pronto, immediately, now and forever. But the reason we are in this mess is because the church has lost a robust theology of having children and discipling them. Pastors went soft in the pulpit long ago, and the church began to care more about what the world thinks than what God thinks. We have wicked laws because the church shows our politicians how to rebel against God's word first. So we are here in a particularly messed up situation thanks to us, the church. This means the church needs reformation and revival. So what do? Model Jesus in your family, in your church, in your community, and continue to pray for the end of abortion. Until that day happens, cheer on every incremental play, every end abortion play, and keep pressing the powers of darkness with every tool we can pull out of the toolbox. And the biggest tool, make no mistake, the biggest tool and most effective tool is worshiping our Father in spirit and in truth, because our God is consuming fire. Overwhelming evidence that Obamacare caused premiums to increase substantially. Now, this is an old article. It's about 2 years old, but I want to bring it back because our memories need to not forget certain things, and this is one of them. According to Forbes.com, the Brookings Institute, a liberal think tank, imagine that, a liberal think tank, released a 2014 study that used actual data. They have to say that in Forbes. They released actual data and found that enrollment-weighted premiums in the individual health insurance market increased by 24%. Now listen to this. That 24% is beyond what they would have had. They simply followed the trends. So that 24% is above and beyond what was expected. Forbes also reported that economists at the University of Pennsylvania, also using actual pre-Obamacare individual market data, estimated that the total expected price of individual market coverage, and this includes premiums plus out-of-pocket payments, increased by 14 to 28% as a result of Obamacare. That is significant. But think about this. I did a little digging here, and I'm sure more is to be found, but Obamacare forces insurance companies to cover all sorts of crazy things, including male pregnancies, male mammograms, and transgendered surgeries. When you turn healthcare into the kind of advances you might find at a carnival show, premiums are going to go up. Health coverage now means boutique transition surgeries are mandated coverage for horny men who are looking for the latest way to fulfill their unfulfilling lust. So premiums not only shot up because the government got involved, which is an obvious ramification, but premiums also shot up because healthcare now includes cosmetic engineering. It's insane. Virginia governor calls for 18-person gun ban force. If you remember December, I reported on how the Democrats have taken control of Virginia and are working on legislation this coming year that will attack Virginia's Second Amendment gun rights. Within 43 days of the election, of the November elections, Virginians have created sanctuary city movements and now have 86 out of 95 counties that are now gun sanctuary cities. That's significant. Well, Governor's blackface infanticide Ralph Northam has come out with a budget that includes a $4.8 million 18-team task force to enforce the potential new gun restriction laws. That's in his proposed budget here for January. Make no mistake, this is how governments become tyrannical. They create laws that the general population hates, and then to get compliance out of the people, they create new bureaucracies to enforce those new laws. Here's what it comes down to. Until conservatives pull their kids out of public schools, just rinse and repeat. That's where we're at. Former NBA Commissioner David Stern dies at 77 after suffering brain hemorrhage. This may not be news to you, but I'm a basketball fan. My dad coached us all through high school, and I played a couple years of college basketball in California. I grew up watching the tail end of Julius Erving's career, the beginning of Michael Jordan's reign, and remember watching Bird and Magic battle it out. Well, according to Discern, former NBA Commissioner David Stern dies at the age of 77 on Wednesday afternoon as a result of a brain hemorrhage he suffered on December 12th. His wife, Diane, and her family were present at his bedside when he passed away, according to the statement from the league. David Stern was commissioner from 1984 to 2014, and I think oversaw the greatest years of the NBA. Now, the NBA is turning into a woke league that bends its back to China, caters to trans culture. If you remember, the NBA playoffs pulled out of North Carolina while North Carolina was battling over transgender bathroom policies. And will soon, I think that this is inevitable, and will soon allow retired NBA players to ball it out in the WNBA. So, rip Commissioner David Stern and rip the NBA. This is Gabriel Wrench with Cross Politic News. You can find this show and all the others on Fight Laugh Feast Network at crosspolitic.com or fightlaughfeast.com. If this show has been helpful to you, please spread the word, share it with your friends, and please consider becoming a member. Your support is allowing us to build a network of Christian media. Join us for Sunday Night Special this Sunday at 7 p.m., where we will interview China's refugee pastor, Bob Fu. This is Cross Politic Daily News Brief, Friday, January 3rd, 2020.